many Satanists, call them churches. He was like the bishop.
You gotta be kidding me.
What was in her heart? You don't know what sin she'd committed. You don't know how much unbelief was there. You don't know whether she hated her husband.
I don't think so.
Why would anybody spend so much time ranting and raving about something that they don't believe in?
Really?
Welcome to Skeptic's Brewpub with Brother Brewer. And welcome to another edition of Skeptic's Brewpub. I'm your host, Brother Brewer, and joining me across the table is my sometimes co-host, who's been on a little bit of a hiatus, the dude from Uncle. How you doing tonight, dude?
Doing all right. Really? Applause for that? Really?
Yeah, well, And joining us also tonight from the great state of Tennessee is activist, veteran, Inspire Award winner, Carla Lewis. Carla, how are you doing tonight?
Greetings. I'm doing great.
Well, thanks for coming on tonight.
It's no trouble. I was able to work you into my schedule,
It seems like you've got an awful busy schedule, judging by your Facebook.
No, that's no indication of how busy I am.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself? I mean, other than the folks that maybe don't follow you on Facebook may not know anything about you. So who are you? What do you do?
I'm 45 years old, and I write software for a healthcare company in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
Now, when I'm not at work, I'm involved in activism. I'm trying to further transgender equality, not just in the state of Tennessee, but in the United States. I'm also a veteran, as you said, but of course that really doesn't play a major role in my life. That's just one of my characteristics. I've got 2 adult children and 3 grandchildren, and I spend my weekends traveling back and forth between Knoxville and Nashville to see my wife. We live 200 miles apart right now.
Oh, wow. Man, that does sound like a full plate, though. So what software are you working with? Is it Epic, or is it another system?
Oh, we write custom software for our pathologists to use.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because at the hospital I work at, they use Epic exclusively, and so
whatever. I don't know how many of your listeners know what HL7 is, but that's the language that all lab equipment uses, and that's what we interface with. So we write software that interfaces with HL7 and medical equipment and sends reports to doctors. That's basically it. It's kind of boring. But I did go over to the lab twice. And I went to the grossing room, and both times they had a human leg laid out on the table dissecting it. Most jobs, you don't get to see that at most jobs. One time they had an ear.
Be a little worried if I saw that at my job.
Yeah, you do food prep, so that would be a little different. You did say that you were in the military. What branch were you in, and how long were you there for?
I was in the United States Air Force. I wasn't in very long at all, 15 months, and that's because it was discovered that I was trans and I was discharged. I worked for Space Command, which is the unit that I worked for was a top secret mobile backup of NORAD that's in Cheyenne Mountain. We were used exclusively during the Cold War. We had 6 mobile units that would deploy throughout the United States. And our job was just to look for afterburning aircraft and rockets.
Okay. I know that as of, believe it or not, we do share a birthday, and on our birthday, the DoD lifted the ban on transgender in the military. So is that going to be retroactive? Are you going to be able to get your discharge papers modified, or have you started the process for that?
As with Don't Ask, Don't Tell, each individual is still liable for petitioning the Department of Defense to modify any documents that they have during their discharge. So no, nothing is automatic.
Okay, but have you started the paperwork on that at least, or at least petitioned for it?
No, and I really don't know if I care to.
Oh, okay.
It's been 25 years, and I'd say the first 10 or 15, it really caused a lot of problems because I had to show this paperwork to employers whenever I go to apply for a job. If they find out you're a veteran, they wanted your DD-214, and mine says mental disorders on it. And so that was kind of problematic. But now that so much time has passed, it's kind of a badge of honor for me. It's kind of something I can point to and say, this is how our country used to be.
Yeah. Well, because I do know that the VA, or at least the one that I worked at, does have transgender support. And I know of at least a couple of veterans that are getting their HRT through the VA. So I didn't know if that would be something that you might be interested in looking at.
Well, unfortunately, I don't qualify for VA care. At one time I did, but they've changed the requirements so many times. Now I believe you have to be in at least 24 months, and I was only in 15. Previously, they waived the 24-month requirement if you served during the time of war, which I did, but it doesn't matter now.
Okay. Let's see. Another question that I had on here too. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your activism. What brought you to start, or what brought you into activism? How did you get started with it?
Well, oddly enough, it really wasn't on my radar. And then in 2004, at the time I was going to gay bars every few weekends, one of the drag queens got on stage and mentioned that they were getting some people together to start a group called Equality in Knoxville. And they wanted to further equality in the Knoxville area. So I went to one of their meetings, and I met some great people, and we actually started doing some things in the community. But it was nothing really active, especially for my part, and the group didn't last very long. But from that, I started getting involved with groups like PFLAG and the Tennessee Transgender Political Coalition. And then about 2006, Tennessee had put forth a constitutional amendment to ban same-sex marriage. It was already against the law, but they wanted to put an amendment into the Constitution. In Tennessee, it has to be approved in the legislature 2 sessions in a row, and it has to be voted on by the public during a presidential election. So the process takes up to 4 years, 4 to 6. So in 2006, a group of friends got together and met with one of the sponsors, and he was a real dick. And that's what really got me thinking that I could probably do something. So when I had the opportunities, I would meet with my representatives, and I would help other people talk to theirs. But I really wouldn't call myself an activist back then. I think I was just an advocate. I think it was more like teaching people about transgender people. But in 2008, my wife and I went to church at Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. And we were running a little bit late, and we walked in the back door, and someone else entered with us. We held the door open. It was some scraggly old guy with a guitar case. And if you knew the kind of people that went to the church, somebody that looked like a hippie with an instrument wasn't too much out of place. We stood in the foyer because there was a production going on at the time, and they didn't want us in the sanctuary because there was this part of the skit was going on, and we had to wait until the next break. So we were standing off to the side, and all of a sudden I heard a loud explosion, and I started smelling something. It's like, what was that? And I looked over, and the guy had pulled a shotgun out of his guitar case and started firing into the congregation.
Oh, wow.
And he killed one of my good friends, Greg. Thank God, not thank God, but he had a shotgun that was a pump. It still had the plug in it that only allowed 3 shots. He was trying to reload when he was tackled. And they broke his arm and held him down until the police arrived. But from that moment on, I decided I couldn't stay silent anymore. Because the man had specifically targeted our church because they were accepting to gays and liberals. So that was the impetus for getting me out and speaking to people and doing more than I had done before.
Okay, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I had heard you talk about that story a little bit, but I didn't know how close you were into that. Jeesh. So another thing I wanted to ask you about too on that was, can you tell me a little bit about the Tennessee Equality Project? I had read somewhere that you're a board member on that.
I am. So it's a statewide equality organization. We have chapters all over the state. What we'll do is we'll go into community, find people that are willing to be advocates and work in their local government. We'll set up a chapter. It's all donation driven. And these people will go out into the community, try to get people to join, and they'll hammer their city council, their mayor, their county government, whatever it takes. School boards, whenever something comes up where people are trying to oppress LGBT people, they go into action.
Okay.
Of course, and on the state level, here in Nashville, we've got a full-time lobbyist and an executive director that pretty much stay at Legislative Plaza throughout the legislative session. Now, fortunately, Tennessee has a really short legislative session. It starts usually around the end of January and ends towards the beginning of May. They can only have 90 legislative days per session. So that limits the amount of damage that they can do every year.
Yeah, in our state... I'm sorry.
They still do quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, in our state, we don't talk about say, unfortunately, when it comes to how long the legislatures or the legislators are in session. It's fortunately they're only in so long. Of course, we've got guys like Jason Rapert, who is very, very. I would say he's just about anti everything. I don't know if you've heard about him, but he's one of our Arkansas legislators, along with Justin Harris, who had that big scandal.
The king of the douchebags.
Yes. Well, I would call him the crown prince, and Jason Rapert is probably the king.
Yes, exactly.
So, if people wanted to get involved with that, how would they get in touch with the project? If someone in a small town in Tennessee had something going on and they wanted to ask you to come in and help get involved with helping them out, how would they get a hold of you?
tnep.org. Contact us through that, and we'll set you up with somebody in your area. And if we need to, we'll send somebody down to your community and help get something started.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like something that if anyone's listening in Tennessee, they would really benefit from. Did you have any questions off the top of your head, dude? Or
No, not off the top of my head.
Okay.
Should have shared some of your questions with me. Dang it.
Well, you're right. I'll hand you some because I was about to.
Oh, hey, questions. Okay, so this was a great idea until I realized that holy crap, I cannot read his handwriting. Oh, hey, I recognize this word.
I can't read my handwriting.
So apparently you have been to Canada, something about winning the 2016 International Icon Award. So when did you find out you were nominated? And how was Canada? Canada sounds kind of awesome right now. What was everything going on here?
Toronto was really awesome. So I'm under the understanding that in the downtown area, the metro area of Toronto, there's 3 million people, which is a lot of people.
Yeah.
It was extremely clean. Now, they still have their problems with homelessness and drugs and violence, but you don't see it like you would in some of our large cities, but at least not from my point of view. Ate poutine every lunch and every dinner.
Okay, now I'm jealous.
And let's see, it was about 72 degrees there, and everybody was dying from heat. They were going to have a heat stroke.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, this is great. What are you talking about? 72? This is nice.
It's been like the high
back
90s
in Nashville
all week.
right now, it's like a heat index of 103.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here too. So did you get to meet Justin Trudeau, and is he as cute as I've seen? That was my question.
I did not. He wasn't invited. Apparently, he's not important enough to attend those awards.
Oh, darn.
Yeah. But I think I found out maybe in February or March. I still don't know why they selected me. I came to their attention, I'm sure, because of the viral image from last November.
The T-shirt heard around the world.
Yeah, that was weird. And I was still